What's up? It's Sample disrupting, we're vibing tonight. Trending topics in the spotlight, breaking down what's right. With smooth grooves and R&B, feel we bring the heat. Critical thought for everyday life, we're keeping it real.
What's up? What's up? Echo Disrupted, Season 2, Episode 7. Lucky
Look at
number 7.
look at us. Thank you for the uptick in thank you to all those who are listening and the uptick in
Engagement.
listenership and engagement, and especially to the people in Russia and Ireland who we don't know who you are. Thanks for tapping thanks for tapping in. Would love to know who you are, but appreciate you listening. Hope you guys, as my gracious co-host says, listen. Shoot, I keep messing this up. Tell me what it is again. It's
Oh, like, share, subscribe.
forgive forgive me for my flaws, but yeah, let's get started. Right? We're a week late behind behind the events, but we definitely would be remiss if we didn't talk about it. Black History Month at the White House, Donald Trump style. So, as you may or may not have seen, there was a bunch of black folks also ran. I don't know if we want to call them black folks. Let's just call them for now. Let's call them the citizens of the sunken place, right? So you had Kodak Black, you had a bunch of other little jigaboos. You had you had Boozy was over there, and some other
Tiger Woods.
Tiger. Well, I don't know what Tiger was doing over there, right? But the the interesting part about the way that Donald Trump moves is he shakes your hand while he's kicking you in your ass at the same time. So if you look at his attack on Black history, essentially, you can't teach it at school, right? They don't want you teaching it in the school. They don't want they don't want HBCUs to be able to focus on African American, anything relative to African Americans at all, right? Because anything that is viewed as a focus on African Americans from their perspective is viewed as anti-white. Anything DEI related, they will not fund. They are attacking Pell Grants. They're attacking specific set asides for Black students, for Black education. So, and when you look at the commentary and the people who are responding to the Kodak Blacks being there and what have you, the response is overwhelmingly, oh, he got him out of jail. What do you expect him to do? Oh, he let this person out of jail. He let that person out of jail. For some reason, we have become, or the people that a portion of our crowd, a component of our crowd, has become the people who side and empathize with criminals. When you say he let Kodak Black out of jail, Kodak Black got arrested for doing something. He got locked up for doing something. That's kind of what the consequences are when you break the law. Donald Trump is a perpetual law breaker, so these guys identify with him. But the reality is, while Donald Trump is championing the criminals and the and the ne'er-do-wells in our community, he's also trying to stop people from being able to educate themselves. He's limiting the financial vehicles, such as Pell Grants, that allow Black kids who occupy 72% who utilize 72% of use Pell Grants to go to school. He's stopping them from being able to go get educated. So while he's knocking education, which is the vehicle through which people are able to, that enables upward mobility, he's also hyping up the lower end of our society with popularizing criminals, right? Or with focusing on criminals and letting criminals out of jail. Your thoughts?
Two takeaways from that, and it's still along the lines of the legal aspect. So one other thing that happened during that whole Black History event was Alex Johnson, who he commuted her sentence in 2018, and then he pardoned her in 2020. He made her like the pardon czar. And that is a very interesting thing because the what I did see about her, she is actually doing things in the streets, so to speak. And whether or not she at the time when he did this, she had already did 20 years. And I think her story kind of speaks to she said like why she was convicted. She was letting the local, pharmaceutical dudes use her phone and this, and that during that time, and she needed to make ends meet. And I think that's a whole other story that we can tease out there. But I think what is very interesting with Trump is when he kind of puts that in your face that he's celebrating Black history, he'll put, this Black woman up, say that she's the czar of pardons, and then he'll fire CQ Brown at the same time,
Oh,
and then they'll erase the DOJ database.
there you go.
Like it's a whole like shell game of things. So people are looking at Kodak Black and all that business, but meanwhile he got like a whole litany of things that he's doing that's so
Exactly.
anti,
Exactly.
that it's just it's not amazing, but it's just like what does he got in his jacket? You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking about good times when they had what was his name? He had the coat and he was saying shit in the jacket. Oh man,
My name is Lenny.
Lenny, yeah. Yo, he doing the Lenny for real. He got a whole
That's
shitload of
crazy.
stuff just opening out. And I'm like, oh my goodness, guy. Anyway, but that's my takeaway. Because to me, with that database that they totally deleted, and this was like after George Floyd, what makes it so interesting is that even when you look at Sonia Massey, right, where that cop came from another, police department with his infractions, this database wipes all that clean. And if you had anything that was going on in point A in one town and you was doing some dumb shit, you can go pick up and go somewhere else and there's no trace of it.
Yep.
Anyway, but so that's my takeaway is that whole Black History Month celebration was just all smoke and mirrors for what he was really doing in the background to really uh, throw a dagger in any developments that we've seen. So
When you pay attention at that level, right? And I think there is an element of our people who Trump resonates with. The undereducated, the underexposed, the those of us who do not understand how things work. Those are the guys who Trump resonates with. Those of us like yourself, right? Like myself, who understand, okay, while he's doing one thing, he's actually causing a tremendous amount of pain and a tremendous amount of discomfort that not only knocks out or devalues this little bit of work that he did, it makes things even worse. And our inability to see that, our inability to understand that, right? Some of us it's you look at the people that voted for him, right? The increase of young people that voted for him. I saw a report today where Gen Z overwhelmingly, black Gen Z overwhelmingly voted for him. Right? Again, not understanding how to contextualize what you're looking at. Right, which kind of leads to the next thing in terms of the new school versus old school in the Black community, right? It's in the age of Trump and what that's going to mean. I was listening to a radio producer. Don't know if you're familiar with him. His name is Ray Daniels, and he was talking about how the Roland Martins of the world talk to people like him like he's dumb, right? They essentially talk to us like we a bunch of dumb niggas. And it's like, and you're listening to him talk, and you're watching his actions. And you know, if you listen to the way a lot of people frame the Roland Martins of the world, and some of the guys who are in the know, and I wouldn't call them leadership, because I don't know if Roland Martin has any leadership positions, at least on a grand scale. But his position was, they talk to us like we dumb. Meanwhile, he's asking for donations, and then Ray Daniels starts showing off all the platinum records that he has and all of the means that he's acquired. And it's like, bro, do you not understand that those are two separate things? Like, your bottom line and Roland Martin's bottom line are completely separate, right? You guys are not pursuing the same thing. The reason why Roland Martin has is essentially collecting funds so that he can keep his independent network going. You work for somebody or worked for somebody in order to be able to amass those funds, but you don't know a goddamn thing about a goddamn thing, right? When he was talking about Roland Martin wanted us to be scared of Trump. Well, nigga, aren't you watching what's happening now? Wasn't Roland Martin right? Unless you don't understand what any of this stuff means, right? Unless you don't understand all the things that are happening as a result of Trump being elected, you don't have any understanding how to contextualize that. So you have people, a lot of us, who look at ourselves individually and don't understand, by doing so, you affecting the collective. Because if one of us wins, if you say, oh, look at all my platinum records, look at all the money I made, bro, that's you. He's like, oh, we independent, we ain't scared, bro. Some people, all these black folks who are losing their government jobs are scared. They're not record producers, right? Roland Martin is telling you, was forecasting that for the people who aren't you, who can be ignorant of the facts and not having impact them. They need to be paying attention to somebody who's going to inform them about what's potentially coming. But you dudes who are worried more about how it impacts you financially, you ain't got those worries. At least now he's like, oh, I'm good. My kids are going to be good. Maybe.
Yeah, that is a big maybe. The way things are going, unfortunately.
You don't know where this is going, right? I'd love to get your thoughts, though.
I did see a little bit of that clip. And to be honest with you, he was talking about Roland. I'm like, dude, you're like 45, 47. Like, you're not too far from behind Roland, from an age perspective, right? Meaning that they're all in the same generation. Mm-hmm. So I didn't understand it, but I think that Roland Martin is a little complex anyway. And you just have to kind of, just like any person, you have to take your bits and pieces with him.
Agreed.
Now, if you're offended, yeah. For him to be offended or to feel away or think that someone's talking down about you, don't listen to him. Bye. Like, it's really just that simple. And, Roland Martin, for me, I can take when he's solo talking about a particular topic, especially if he's getting into some of the crevices of like media. And when I say that, like the way the history of things are, I can listen to him. But when he has some of his panels, I can't, I have to go. So, and I think when he has on, I think it's Lauren Burke, and there's another woman that he just had on. She's been like more frequent on there. And as soon as I see that it's either one of them, I'm like, I'm not going to listen, because normally I think Lauren may be maybe a little center left. Okay. And, Roland, I think, is definitely more Democrat 100. And they have sometimes some some disagreements. And he's very loud and overpowering. So normally, depending on your personality, if you're somebody to go back and forth with him or listen or whatever the case is, he has his people that he goes back and forth on. I know that, and as soon as I see them, I know I'm not even going to tune into whatever it is, and it all depends on my mood too, in the sense of what I can take. So for Daniels and what old school versus new school mean, I think at this point in time, there is a space for a Roland Martin, and especially from a historic perspective, because he's lived, right? He's in his 50s, I don't know his exact age, but he's experienced a lot. So when it comes to media and what he's gone through, I do appreciate listening to it. Um, Him asking for money. I mean, he is independent in the sense I know the whole 2024 election and that whole drama. But he's doing what any of these other stations do too. They ran commercials, and he had to get paid. He has a staff. So it's just the whole process of what are you expecting someone to do? If that's his business, that's how he chooses to run it. If you want to engage and that's someone that you believe in and you feel that you want to donate, then donate. Do what you have to do. I think that there's more than enough options that are out here where you can get your information. I don't know what this Daniels talks about outside of what that one clip you sent me, and I think I only got through like maybe 8 minutes of it. And I was like, okay, I'm good.
So I'll give you an example. So I listen to a lot of different people, right? I give people a shot to hear different perspectives. I don't expect Ray Daniels to be talking about politics, right? Not his strong suit at all. When I first started listening to you talking about hip hop culture, he calls himself the hip hop referee or something of that nature. So he's interviewed a couple people, and I've heard I use him as black background noise when I'm working. That being said, like today he was talking about the reason why Trump is getting rid of all of these government jobs is in order to decrease the values of homes, because there's so many homes on sale now in the Washington D.C. area now that so many people are losing their jobs, and he's like, that's how he's going to decrease. That's how he's going to decrease inflation. I'm like, fam, are you freaking retarded? Like, bro, first and foremost, Trump is the reason why we have inflation at all, right? To the degree that it is, right? This is start there. The other reason why he's cutting all of these jobs is so they could pay for these tax cuts. Nigga, if you could pay attention long enough, you shouldn't be barking on Roland Martin. You should be a quiet fan, right? You should be a guy who's sitting there when Roland Martin opens his mouth, you need to pull your pen and your pad out. Right? When you see Dr. Greg Carr start talking, you should be quiet as a church mouse. Pull your pen and your pad out and start listening. Right? Mm-hmm. Some of these people, Don Lemon starts going off on his tangents. Bro, you need to be paying attention. The problem, again, with us is some of us think what we have in our pocket equates us intellectually with everybody else. Some of y'all niggas really need to shut your mouths when you're in public. Right? We lost the ability to be embarrassed. We lost the ability to say to ourselves, okay, let me just do more listening and more listening and less speaking, especially on this subject matter that I am not versed in at all. Right? To hear him like say, oh yeah, he's doing that. I know it's messed up. I'm not condoning it, but he's doing it to lower inflation. No, fam. He's doing it so that they could pay for tax cuts.
Right.
You would have known that. Not to mention that they're also on the other side of that, Trump is making it cool for he's given the green light for white South Africans to come to the United States. And guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna take jobs, right? So they're gonna be the new government workers. By the way, the reason why DC, Prince George's County had such affluent blacks is because that's where the government jobs were. That's how black people were raising themselves out of poverty, right? Through government jobs, through stable jobs. Those are now going away. What is that going to do for the future generations of black families? So when Roland Martin is ringing the alarm or sounding the alarm and telling y'all niggas, y'all need to be paying attention, you tell him he's trying to make you scared. Well, there was a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And now we're see it.
Yeah, I think that that just also goes back to it's them and not I. You know what I mean? Like that's those government workers, that's those farmers, that's those whoever it is that's being impacted. You know, it hasn't gotten to you yet, is really what it is. You
Speaking of,
haven't felt the benefits of Trump and
speak,
his nonsense.
speaking of, let's go in that direction. That fallout from Doge, the FAFO fallout, uh, or wake up calls, where you've got these farmers on TV. You got these the today was the cool one, like 600. It was a I think it was 6,000 jobs in Oklahoma. Federal jobs in Oklahoma are going away. All these other different people, the different jobs, civil jobs are going away in some of these rural areas. These payments that were already allotted for these different factions are not getting paid. Drug costs, pharmaceutical costs have gone up, right? I think it was
Insulin, yeah.
insulin from $12 to $78, right? All these people out here wearing these Trump hats, making these complaints, and it's like you guys can't possibly be serious in complaining. You guys don't have no shame, right? How could you be complaining given how excited you were to vote for this dude? This dude told you he was going to do this. The one thing you got to give him credit for, he ain't lied. He made you no promises.
Yeah. You know what's funny to me is when I see a lot of the conversation around it, the focus is on, oh, Elon.
Mm-hmm.
They not really focusing in on Trump. It's all on Elon.
Good point.
And to me, that's the problem. Until, and unfortunately, I think I said this in the other episode, is that they're not going to feel it until literally their stomach is touching their back.
Right.
And then that's when it is. Because right now, this is anti Elon. You might get some people that are like, we're not voting for a king. Eh, again, that sounds fly, but you did. So to me, until this whole trajectory moves from, it being the focus on Elon, that's why Trump is still doing what he has always been doing. Let the light shine on him. Let him do all the craziness that he's doing, slashing jobs and then having to hire them back, and is it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I don't think those people are serious yet. They're just talking and they're not focused in on exactly what's happening, in my opinion.
No, I think I totally agree, and I think what it is, right? There's a lack of sophistication, right, with a lot of the people who are going to be impacted by this. These people have no freaking idea. Like there's a guy who said the other day on in social media discussion, look at all the efficiencies these guys are creating. I'm like, yo, they're getting their numbers wrong. Like, what are you even talking about?
Right, 8 billion versus 8
It's
million.
it's literally, or you're trying. You guys are saying, oh, we're not going to pay this. Like, well, you're three-quarters paid into it already. This money has already been allotted. You don't get to say whether it's
Right.
going to whether you're going to pay for it or not. So you literally have all these 19 and 20-year-olds making all these calls, and I think a lot of it is a diversionary tactic, right? I think because I think Trump's ultimate goal is to erode trust in the government and make a move after that erosion has been completed.
I think that and destabilize and have his own, military cops, his own like brigade of people, because that's what it's going to come down to, in my opinion. If, the courts and all these different tactics that are being used right now to try to slow this down, that's
Mhm.
what it's going to become. Because if you continue to mess with people, meaning you send out these emails on a Saturday afternoon when people are not working and say that they have to do these bullet points or they get fired, or, just the constant, you don't know if you have a job, you had a, the stories. I had a good review and everything was cool. I was out of my probationary period, but womp womp, I still lost my job, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. As this stuff starts to keep happening, people are going to get more up in arms, right? And the ripple effect of that, even if you was a store that had you maybe a deli that was over there by where these federal workers were, and now they're gone. Now you're losing out too. So now it's that ripple effect. And what I do think is going to happen is going to be an uprising because people are going to be frustrated. There's going to be a time where it's not moving fast enough because who's waiting for the legal system and judges and all of those things to happen, right? It's a stopgap, but it doesn't it doesn't help. The budget comes up what, March 15th?
Hmm?
That's going to be something interesting as well. And as all of these things happen, an uprising is going to happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you're
So
watching the beginning. You're watching the fermentation of it happening in these town halls where Republican leaders are getting blasted by their constituents. Right. You're seeing all these town hall meetings and things are starting to bubble. Right. And you just connected some dots for me just now in terms of the federal the federal bad cop reports have been wiped clean. Well, all the while Trump is building his little fiefdom, right? His little.
right, and all the Jan Sixers are out.
Oh, there you go, right? And some of them getting arrested, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
not enough.
you know there's a bunch of different things happening. The other thing is too the in Utah, for instance, where they have removed the fire department and the teachers union for being able to bargain collectively, right? They removed the head of the wow
NLRB.
NLRB. Wow, thank you. You
Mhm.
say, but yeah, they've done that. So there's different pieces of the puzzle that are moving, right? What they end up being, we will see. But this ain't gonna be cool. This ain't gonna be a problem, right? So as people bicker and beef about, oh, these I don't want any trans kids going competing against my children in school. And I'm worried about who's going to the bathroom with me. And oh wow, we finally got it where there's only a male and female gender. Like, do you think that's not
Right.
even matter? Hey, it's not even gonna matter because if your rights have been taken away, they've completely reformed the country such that it is reflective of a corporation, because that's really what it is. That's the Peter Thiels and the Elon Musk of the world. They want they want the United States to be run like a corporation, not like a democracy. You have the Marjorie Taylor Greens who were saying, right, your government workers shouldn't even be getting checks, right? So you have all these different voices kind of saying all these different things, all which are pointing to the common man getting the short end of the stick. But now I ask, okay, are you guys really running for the next 4 years? Because you're acting like you're going to be in these positions forever. Like you don't have to worry about any consequences or repercussions for your choices. And to me, I'm almost waiting for the other shoe to drop to say, okay, at what point does that happen? Now, the other part of the confusion is, right? They're now saying, okay, we're potentially going to give everybody from Doja's savings, we're going to carve out $5,000 for every household. So we're going to send everybody a $5,000 stimmy check. So the question becomes, hold up, you fired all these people. You got rid of all these. You got rid of all of these different programs, USAID, all these different things that kept America running and kept America's position strong in the world. And now you're going to give every household $5,000. So there's a bunch of confusion. It's literally like, I heard this comparison, right, where you're waving $1 in a trailer home, and all the while you and in a trailer park, and all the while you're out here fleecing these people. And so many don't know, even down to like something as simple as people complaining about people complaining about the Eagles not going to the White House, and then that being such a big deal for folks.
That
So
isn't even a thing yet. Like, anyway, we're not gonna go on into that.
but yeah, it's
But
that.
I can see that whole STEMI talk being a thing. Now, it is like Congress that has to vote on and approves, these different funding packages. So it will be interesting to see, especially when we get to midterms and how long this will go. And if it gets dire enough, it is in the Republicans' hands to pass it, meaning that they have the votes to do it. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be 5,000. I don't know what it'll be, but
Mhm.
if everybody's belly is touching, they'll take anything. And that is exactly how this dude got through COVID, where
Yeah.
people were talking about that $1,200, and it was the thing with his signature on it.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't I wouldn't take it off the table yet, meaning it doesn't make sense right now for what's approved, but going in this next session, you never know. And if eggs become $100 or whatever the new thing is that everybody's complaining about and the prices, then I I could see it happening. I know it's crazy, but crazier things are happening right now. So
We are without a doubt, in crazy time, right? This
yep,
is, by no stretch of the imagination is this normal. This is not normal, and hopefully this is not the new normal, but we will see.
that's the MO. Create hysteria,
Chaos.
chaos, create it, and then you act like you're solving it at the same time. I'm
You made
telling
the
you.
you made the mess. You made the mess. You're cleaning it up, and you're taking credit.
Right. Meanwhile, we're paying for the mess. You
The other
give
part,
me, yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy.
part of that too, right? Along with that, he was responsible for the economy booming right before he got elected. But now that inflation's up and things are starting to turn the other direction, he's not taking any credit. This is all a game, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
all a game. But
Mm-hmm.
let's finish it off. I wanted to get your thoughts on what's going on with Fanbase, right? It's a little bit of a mixed bag for me, right? It's because I'm like, okay, Isaac Hayes the third made the fatal error that I always tell dudes: do not get into an argument with a woman. She's going to win. It is just that simple. They are masterful at doing this stuff. We're not. That's why we be jumping out of windows and doing all kind of foolishness and overreacting. The reason why it's something worth discussing, because this dude is a black man and he's creating his own platform, and it was starting to pick up some pace. He's gotten some notable people on it, and then he goes and trips himself up by getting into it with this creator. And I don't even know what the crux of the argument was, but he went too far. And it's tough because now he's taking a beating, right? He's
Yeah.
taking in public, and of course, with us, we ain't letting that go, right? Oh, he was out here being abusive to a black woman, this, that, and the third. Again, I don't. I'm not.
Yeah, it's interesting because it started around the time of TikTok and that whole band. And her name is Francesca, and she's the one that came up with the leopards eat, the song. I
Okay,
never thought the leopards would eat my face.
okay,
She's
okay,
that same person.
all right.
And what ended up happening is, and I'll make this quick, is everyone was saying to her, why don't you go on Fanbase? Meaning like you're on this Chinese, platform, all of the issues, go on Fanbase, it's black owned. So her stance loosely was, just because it's black doesn't mean that I'm gonna just automatically just jump ship and go. Like I gotta see what's happening.
Okay.
And the long story short is that I guess I haven't been on Fanbase, so I couldn't compare fan base to TikTok to Instagram. You know how I am with socials. But apparently the talk was that fan base is not up to snuff. And
It's not easy to manipulate. It isn't.
right, right. So that was kind of like loosely where she was coming from. And then, I guess from a Isaac Hayes perspective, the third, there was some things said in socials, and then somehow it devolved into him looking up this woman's ex-husband who happens to be white
Uh,
and made some post to like not like us or something along those lines and then deleted it. And you one thing like even I get what you're saying when it comes to these social media people, don't play.
yeah,
If that's their bread and butter, they have like their own underground network. You
yeah,
post something, you think you can snap it and pull it back. They already snapped it, posted it, did a dance about it, and it's going viral. So that's what ended up happening. So I think from that perspective, it kind of devolved. This is not the 80s or the 90s. We're
mhm,
not, pages and making
yeah,
making words out of numbers. This
yeah,
stuff is fast. So, I just say in that case, he definitely should have just fell back. If she doesn't want to be on there, she doesn't have to be on there. It's her thing. Whatever. Leave
yeah.
her alone. Anyway.
Especially, but now, right? Tying this back into to Joy Reid's, departure from the mainstream. We got to be careful with how we treat each other, right? There's got to be a better way to handle this stuff so it doesn't disagreement doesn't become
Mhm.
don't disagreements don't become World War III, where now we can't do business or conduct commerce with one another anymore, where now we've got people saying, okay, let's get rid of fan base, despite whatever its shortcomings are, was at least a platform, right? That was owned by a brother who was getting investments from a brother, independently owned by a brother, getting investments and doing his thing. Now
Then
it's
what did he want? Like 399 from individuals to
yeah,
invest?
yeah. So it's a tough situation. I hope they resolve it, but either way, we'll discuss further on our as things develop on our future episodes.
Yeah, definitely. As always, it's been a whirlwind of topics.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But again, always great to just sit here and dialogue with you. Love to just chat and go back and forth. Hopefully, the audience loves it too.
Yeah, and if you love it, you know what we're gonna say. Like, share, subscribe, and we appreciate everyone that's tuning in and giving us feedback. We take it and run with it and try to evolve and make this a better podcast. So drop down with some comments, any topics you want us to discuss or delve into. We're open to that as well.
Shout out to our people in Ireland and Russia.
Jeez. And everywhere else too. All right. Have a good one.
Take care.